Okay guys, so Errol Spence and Kell Brook will be facing off in Sheffield for Kell Brook's IBF world title. I believe it's going to be in Sheffield, but obviously there's no guarantee yet. The fight's been announced. This for me is one of the best fights that can be made in boxing at the moment. I think it's better than the Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko fight. I think it's better than Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman fight. That's just my opinion. I think that these two stylistically are no, not stylistically. These two are just all round better than Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. I think if you were to put in Errol Spence against Keith Thurman, he'd eat him up. If you put Errol Spence against Danny Garcia, he'd eat him up. And I think vice versa. I think that Kell Brook would beat Keith Thurman. I think Kell Brook would beat Danny Garcia. These two are the best welterweights, and with these two facing off, both young, both hungry. Kell Brook's more veteran than Errol Spence. Errol Spence is coming up. We've heard about the rumours of how good Spence is, but this is my thing, right? How good is Spence's chin? We haven't really seen his chin tested, and whenever he's been hit here and there, he does go back a little bit. We saw Bundu hit him, and he didn't react very well. Not to say that Errol Spence has a glass chin. I think that if someone's got a bad chin, it makes itself apparent in rumours, and we haven't heard anything like that about Spence. Now, my question is, right, if Kell Brook hits him with a very solid jab or a very hard one-hit counterpunch, how will Errol Spence react? Okay, now we all know Errol Spence is dangerous. Errol Spence is going to have the work rate. He's going to put it in. He's going to hit the body shots against Kell Brook. He's going to really put it on Kell Brook. He's got the amateur pedigree as well. So we know that Errol Spence, right, what he brings into the ring, we know that. But the question is, can he take Kell Brook's power, and how will he react when Kell Brook hits him back? Because at the end of the day, he's not going in with a chump or a bum. He's going to be fighting in Kell Brook's hometown. He's going to be fighting a veteran fighter, and he's going to be fighting a boxer who's trying to retain his IBF world title. And I do think Kell Brook will get up for this fight because he will realise how dangerous Errol Spence is. And if Kell Brook isn't on his A game, Errol Spence will probably get a stoppage against Kell Brook. My thing is, with Kell Brook, with him packing on all the muscle when he faced Triple G, the question I want answered is, how active is Kell Brook going to be in that ring? How many punches is he going to throw in that ring? Is he going to look healthy at 147 pounds? Is he going to be able to take the body shots at 147 pounds? Is he going to be able to get the training in for 147 pounds, or is he just going to be killing himself making the weight? Personally, I think that in 2017, I think you should fight at not necessarily the lowest weight possible, but you should fight at lower weight classes, hydrate up. Because in boxing today, it's all about hydration. Fighters who hydrate a lot carry an advantage. Both of these fighters are pretty big fighters, you know. But Kell Brook is definitely bigger in my opinion. I think that he's the stronger fighter, but I think Errol Spence carries more knockout power. It's going to be interesting because we're going to see how much of a good boxer Errol Spence really is, because we know everything that he's done in the amateur game. The thing is, right, how many boxers can you name who got to a certain level in the amateurs, right, like got to the Olympics, but then failed at the Olympics and then went on to become great pros? You could think of plenty of fighters, right, who were not great amateurs who became great professionals. And that's the thing in this fight, right? Kell Brook didn't really have a stellar amateur pedigree, but that can be due to several reasons. Like, maybe they just weren't taking boxing seriously in amateurs. Maybe they didn't, whatever the reason is, they might not just taken part in the amateurs properly. But we know Errol Spence gave it a lot in the amateurs, and he didn't win a gold medal, so he's not the perfect amateur pedigree fighter, He's got limitations. Kell Brook, on the other hand, has come on leaps and bounds in the professional ranks, and he's trained at the Winterbank gym. He's got excellent boxing fundamentals, a very unique and different style, something Errol Spence will not be able to get in sparring, something that Errol Spence hasn't seen before in the ring. Kell Brook switches. He's not like Leonard Bundu. He's a totally different animal to Leonard Bundu. His switch style is totally different, much better, much more refined. He carries punching power, and he's got that gene in him. You know what Leonard Bundu obviously didn't have. Errol Spence, he's gone in against fighters of lower caliber and destroyed them, lower calibers. But the thing is that with Errol Spence facing Kell Brook, my main question is, how is he going to react when Kell Brook hits him? I mean, this fight, right, it wouldn't shock me if Kell Brook hits Errol Spence with a big counter punch, and Errol Spence splatters all over the floor, and we see him exposed. You know, I don't think that's out of the question. I think that's possible. Obviously, it's also possible Errol Spence might have a really high work rate and dominate Kell Brook and hurt Kell Brook and really put it on him, and Kell Brook struggling to go the distance of 12 rounds. And you know, this is a thing. I struggle to see Kell Brook going 12 in this fight. And that's my honest opinion. I think that's due to the weight cut. I think had it been at 154, Kell Brook can do 12 rounds nicely, but I think at 147, Kell Brook's going to struggle to do 12. I think if it goes late, Errol Spence wins. I think if Kell Brook can get this lad out of there early, talking, and when I say early, I mean around 6, 7 at the latest, that's where Kell Brook has to put this guy away. It's going to get into a war at some point, and I think that Kell Brook has the power to launch a one-hit counter punch against Errol Spence, who has been hit in the past. He does have a good defense, but I mean, he does sometimes get hit, and Kell Brook has the power to put this boy's lights out. And I'm interested to see how he reacts when Errol Spence gets hit. So I don't know, but it's something like when I'm thinking about this fight, I keep thinking of Errol Spence coming in and getting hit with a big punch, dropping, getting back up, getting a bit dazed, and Kell Brook coming back in and roughing Errol Spence up. And I don't know why, but I just see Errol Spence dropping in this fight. At the same time, I can also see Errol Spence dominating and getting perhaps a late stoppage against Kell Brook. Both of them things are possibilities. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a really good fight. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think this is going to go 12 because I don't think Kell Brook can go 12. Not 147 pounds. Not anymore. Comment section below. Subscribe as always. The bodywork of Errol Spence, I think, is going to really take a toll on Brook. And I think you're going to see a war around about round 4 to 6. You're going to see some serious fireworks. Comment section below. Subscribe as always. Be Real TV in a bit, guys.